My name is Joe Underhill, and I'm been working on the river semester for a number of years. I teach at Augsburg University, and I had the good fortune of working with Cultivating and Max Planck Institute last year on the Anthropocene River. And so I just want to talk a little bit about where we are and what we're planning on doing next week as part of the Shape of a Practice. We're going to be taking a group out on the river. You've heard from a few of these folks already, and I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement, as we are right in a very significant place for the Dakota people here. We're at just over to my left here is an island called Witatanka, and just downstream, and this whole area is called Bedote, which is the confluence of the Mississippi and the Minnesota rivers, and that's a sacred site for the Dakota. It is the place of their origin and the place where, according to their traditions, life began. We are on right now what the Anishinaabe call the Mississippi, and for the Dakota they call it the Haha Wakpa, or the Wakpa Tonka, the falling water or the big water. And we're just downstream from the big waterfall, the powerful waterfall that goes by the name Owamnayomni, and also just below an area that is called Oheyawahi, the place that is much visited. It is a site of gathering for the Dakota people traditionally, and there's just a rich history here which we always want to acknowledge and respect that, and see what we can do to address the legacies of settler colonialism and displacement that have been here. We're going to be taking a journey that we think of as a journey between two worlds. The world, in the language of Richard Powers in his book The Overstory, he says, the real world that we cannot see, and the invented world that we cannot escape. And so part of what we're doing here is actually trying to escape, to disentangle ourselves from the world in which we are caught up, a very troubled and in many ways dysfunctional world that we're in, and try to get out into this space. We know that we can't ever completely escape this world of modern society and all of the troubles that it has, but we can partially extract ourselves, and we can do better at paying attention to and connecting to this, what we think of as the real world out here. Part of traveling in this space is thinking about the things we can't see, the things that we have to maybe cultivate a new awareness around. So some of that is things like the coronavirus, that this pandemic, this invisible thing that has so disrupted our lives. That includes the species that are no longer here, things like the passenger pigeon, many of the native fish and mussel species in the river that have been gone extinct or been extirpated. They're no longer found in this region. It also means acknowledging and paying attention to the ghosts that are here, because we are approaching the time of Halloween and All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day and Dia de los Muertos, and it's a time when we think about our ancestors and the departed. And so that would include the Dakota 38, the 38 Dakota men who were hung in Mankato upstream here on the Minnesota, and the women and children and elders who were forced into a concentration camp just upstream from us here under Fort Snelling. It means as well acknowledging the life and loss of George Floyd, who was murdered just up here, and Philando Castile, who was shot by police over there, or Jamar Clark, who was shot by police in North Minneapolis just about 5 years ago. So we acknowledge those presences and their spirits and their loss, and hold those with us as we travel downstream. But we also are thinking about the presence and spirit of others who inspire us and help us to imagine our way forward. People like Meridel Lesueur, wonderful scholar and activist artist, Winona LaDuke, Dennis Banks, Clyde Bellacourt, Russell Means, here in the birthplace of the American Indian movement in Minneapolis. I think about Prince and Bob Dylan and Lizzo and Dessa and Hubert Humphrey and Paul Wellstone and Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar, all of these folks, past and present and future, who have done such amazing work in support of the cause of justice here. And that just seems particularly important now because we're in the middle of this very strange political season, this political time when we're the President of the United States is someone who is proto-fascist, authoritarian tendencies and language, somebody who is, pathologically narcissistic and really a bully, someone who I think I'm feeling hurt by, traumatized in a way, and I think there's a real need for us to be politically engaged and aware particularly at this point. So that's part of the context of this experience that we're going to be doing. So we place ourselves in this stream in a boat with paddle and head off in this very cold, wintry time. We're really on the river later than we would like to be. We would like to be further south. Typically, we listen to and watch the birds migrating south and head south with them because they know they know what's coming. And the white pelicans have already left. A lot of the birds have left, headed south, but not all. There's still some around. We still have some ducks, some mallards, a few Canada geese that are around, and it's with the right gear, all bundled up, we can still be out here and put ourselves into this space that is in ways uncomfortable, that's out of control. A lot of the things that we're in the midst of here, we don't have much control over: the weather, the water conditions, all the variables that we have out here. But that's part of why we do this. That we're wanting to understand how to live in the world in a way that has less of an impact on the world, lets go of trying to control everything, accepts some level of discomfort in order to reduce our impact and to increase our exposure to this real world as opposed to the invented one. So we want to learn how to live with the world as it is, to adapt to it, to live in it, and to recognize that the lines we've created between us and the world are artificial, and that we need to undo so much of this old dualistic way of thinking. So our goal here is to, with this group of students and faculty and community members, artists and others, is to try and be more alive at a time when it's very hard to get out and do things, when we've been stuck inside and stuck on screens. We want to cultivate courage and resilience and confidence in our ability to move through the world, even in the midst of all this, to cultivate our imaginative capacities, our attention to place, and to see how well we can listen to the elders here, both the human and the non-human. And in that, to explore the multiple braided channels of this place that move in and out of danger and confusion, hope, despair, and insight as we move down the river through the snow and the mist. All right. And that's all I gotta say about that.